so that it gets recorded. Hi everyone, you know me. My name's Aksa Khan, and I am the project manager for the Pakistan project, and I serve as the West Lane Venture Catalyst. If you're joining us from Lane County, this is the workshop for LivePlan. It is in sponsorship with our proud partners at Palo Alto. I will let Josh introduce himself and talk more about LivePlan. But for those of you who are attending the first time workshop about LivePlan and don't know much, don't worry too much. We will try to have a Q&A session at the end. In terms of meeting etiquettes, please make sure to mute yourself. And if you have any questions or anything like that, either put them in the chat or raise your hand. So I'll make sure that we get to that. And having your videos on is completely optional. We would love to see you, but if you would prefer to have your video off, we completely understand. And for those of you who are having technical issues, we'll work with you to adjust them. So without further ado, I will hand it over to you, Josh.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And thank you everyone for taking the time today to come and learn about LivePlan and really to better yourself in terms of education, but also making yourself aware of best-in-class tools like LivePlan to help with your entrepreneurial ventures and all of your entrepreneurial pursuits. Again, my name is Josh Fegles. I work with Palo Alto Software, the company that is the maker of LivePlan. And our company's actually been in business for over 3 decades, about 36 years, 37 years, so almost 4 decades in business planning and supporting entrepreneurs. And currently our company is run by our CEO, Sabrina Parsons, and she has taken the legacy of our country, of our company, and she took over, I think, about 15, maybe 20 years ago, but she's been leading our company in incredible directions, and LivePlan was one of the things that she led our team to bring to market. And LivePlan came to market in 2011, so it's been 12 years on the market and continuing to grow and improve. I'm just going to speak just briefly about us and Palo Alto, and then really the intent of today is to get into LivePlan and to build out different features and sections of LivePlan so that it's very clear what you would do as an entrepreneur building LivePlan. My experience with LivePlan, I actually was introduced to LivePlan through a similar webinar type workshop that I got involved in back in 2011 with a local resource center here in Oregon. When I was an early stage entrepreneur, I had an idea and I thought, how could I take this idea and turn it into a business? And so I got connected with an organization very similar to RAIN and got involved in the different support and resources and education. And one of the tools that I was introduced to in that process was LivePlan. And that helped me to start and run and grow my business. So without further ado, I'm going to actually switch into getting started with LivePlan. And what I'd like to do is make this as interactive as possible. However, I also recognize that everyone learns in a different way. So if you learn by asking questions and getting answers, then I want to encourage that. So we've got the chats there in the Zoom. So please put your questions in there. I'll be watching those questions. We will also have questions at the end so that after we finish going through the tool, we'll leave some space at the end for questions. But what I want to do is encourage you all to kind of step through the software with me one step at a time. And so what I've done here is I've actually pulled up a browser where I've got up here in the browser window a link to a new license for LivePlan. And this would be similar to what you might receive in working with the RAIN program. If you're working with them, and there might be the opportunity for you to get access to LivePlan, or if you're working as a student or an entrepreneur, it's all going to start with getting access to LivePlan. And this very first page here is the sign up page. So I'm going to, with you all, create a LivePlan license. And then we're going to step through it one step at a time. So I'll put in my first name and my last name. And then I'm going to create an email here that's just for this demo. So my normal.
I'm
Yes.
sorry to interrupt you, Josh. There's a question in the chat that after the trial, what is the cost of the program?
Oh, great. So after the trial, software for the premium LivePlan, which is what you would be getting access to, is $40 per month. And there's no contract or there's no required number of months. Of course, we train to use LivePlan as a management tool. Once your business is up and running, there are some very powerful features that will help you to guide you through the management portion of your growing business. So, but to answer that question, it's $40 US dollars per month for access to the premium software. Thank you, Aksa, for jumping in with questions, because as I'm talking and typing, I don't always see the chat. So just like you did, I encourage you to do that throughout today.
Okay, I think, can you put the link in the chat as well for the web page that you're on currently?
Oh, I can't, just because the link that I have, well, I can, it's just not a link that's usable. It's a single use link, but I'll put it in there just so you all can see what it would look like. So there's that link. Again, that's just a single use link that I'm going to use here to create my access. So if you were to click on it, it would take you to this page, but there'd be a red banner at the top that says that promo code's no longer useful, because it was just a one-time use link. But that is almost exactly like the type of link you would get from RAIN. It's just the letters there at the end would be unique letters that would be for each unique individual code. So after I've gone to that page, I've clicked that link, I've gone to that page, I've entered my name and my email, I've created a password. So you want to write that down or remember that password, because that'll be your key to logging in the future. LivePlan is going to ask me a few different questions about my business, and this is going to help just the software know where I should start. So for example, is this a new business or an up and running business? No revenue yet, or already in business with revenue. So I'm going to click on new business. And then what do we want to call this company? We could just leave it, and you could see here what it did is it pulled in my first name from what I entered. So it's calling it Josh's company. And I could just leave it at that, but I'm going to say Josh's RAIN company, just because that's the partner that we're working with, and that's who you all are connected with. So we'll say this is Josh's RAIN company. And then it's going to ask, am I working with anyone? And this is a great time if you are working with RAIN or with an instructor or a mentor, where you can put in their email and then give them permissions to help write and edit, or to view only with no editing, and they can make comments. So this would be where you'd put in, that mentor or that instructor, or if you have a business partner, or frankly, a friend, or, anyone who's interested that would be supportive and helpful, you can put in their email here, decide which permission to give, and then move to the next section. And what LivePlan will do when you enter their email is it will send them an email invitation into their inbox. And then they would have a link that they would click on that would accept that invitation. And then when they go into LivePlan, they will be able to work within your license. And again, just read and review, leave comments, or possibly even write, edit, make changes, and help with the business planning process. So for this demo, I'm just going to leave that blank and click next. And now it's going to ask us about, do you want your plan to follow the calendar year? And so really what this is going to focus mostly on will be the financials. And you can see here that it defers to most common would be a calendar year for your financials, January through December. Some businesses, though, work on a fiscal year that's different than January to December. Sometimes it could be July to June or October to September. So if you're not sure, then it's most likely going to be the most common one, that's January. If you know it's different, then you can select this other option. But we're going to select January here.
Sorry to interrupt. We also have another question in the chat from Ken. Can you add working with anyone later in the process after that you have signed in?
Yes, great question. You can. And throughout the time that you're in the license, you can not only add different people, but let's say your support changes and the person that you invited in initially, maybe they've moved on or they're no longer supporting you, you can remove them and then you can add someone else. So you have all of those controls once we get into the system. These first 5 questions are really just the initial onboarding to try to get it as in place from the start as possible. But if any of this is changeable, I guess is a good way to respond to that question.
And sorry to interrupt again. As for your question, Ehtisham, we will share the codes at the end of the presentation. Depending on how much time it takes today, we might have some time for individual times and some logins. But if not, then we can definitely host another working session with Josh. That would be a part 2 of this series to make sure everyone's logins is working. So yeah, just let us know if there's any questions or anything like that. Back to you, Josh.
Wonderful. It sounds like there might be some eager entrepreneurs that are excited to get their hands on the software. That's fantastic. So the last couple of questions in this onboarding, this again, of course, is when should the forecast start? And again, current year, January to December. That's most likely going to be the selection if you anticipate starting the business sometime this year. If you're planning, 9, 10, 11 months in advance, then of course you could select a launch for your business sometime in 2024. So we're going to select 2023. And then finally, it says we're ready to go. So where do we want to start? What do we want to work on first? I'm going to select craft your pitch for a number of reasons, but this tends to be a great starting point for most entrepreneurs because it helps you quickly to get your ideas into the system. And with just a pretty quick turnaround, you're going to have a summary page that you can share, that you can export, that will help to communicate effectively the idea for your business. There is, of course, the opportunity to start writing a full business plan, to work on the financials, the forecast. We'll work on that today. And then the analyze your performance, that would be for up and running businesses. So I'm not going to click in there, but just want to highlight, if you are up and running and you're in a growth stage for your business, you might want to click on analyze your performance. But for now, let's click on craft your pitch and we'll get going. So here we are in LivePlan. All of those questions so far were just the initial onboarding. And now I want to give you an introduction and an orientation to the software. We've got right in front of us, we clicked on pitch, and there's this video here that we could select. We're not going to watch that together, but I'll encourage you all, when you get into the software, to take the time to watch each of the videos. They're usually 2 minutes or 3 minutes long, but they're a nice overview introduction to each section that we're going to be working in. Before I click into the pitch and we build this out together, let me highlight each of the different sections over here on the left. The pitch page, which we're looking at, is that brief summary of the business. The plan is where you will write the full story about the business, how you plan to operate the business, who's on the team, all of the details. Now, you'll notice there's a different video with the plan. So again, I encourage you to watch those videos. Also, take the time to read the short paragraphs that we have embedded throughout the software. They're really there to educate, to inform, to make sure that you have all of the information necessary in order to move successfully through the software. The forecast, similarly, we've got a video here. This is actually a video with our CEO, Sabrina Parsons, and she's talking about financial forecasting. One thing that I love about the software is that it's simple enough for a very basic startup business, but it's also sophisticated enough for a growing software company like Palo Alto Software. Is really what I'm intending to say is that we, as a 30+ year business that has global reach, we use LivePlan to manage our business and our company. And so Sabrina here, who's talking about the forecast in this video, she and our leadership team use LivePlan every month to manage our software company. So wherever you're at, whatever type of business, LivePlan will help support your planning process.
So just to pause for a second and check for Q&A. Are there any thoughts from our Pakistani entrepreneurs? Questions, confusion? I think one important thing that I would like to highlight, as Josh was mentioning, that that even if you are a business that is pretty much in the idea stage, and you are still working on creating your pitch and re-looking into your financials, this is a really good starting point. So I know that we have some students joining us today as well. So I think Josh made it very clear in the start that it's a great resource for businesses, but also for business students and just students in general, as you're prepping for your business. Okay.
Wonderful.
To you, Josh.
Thank you so much. And the last couple of sections here, we won't spend a lot of time on, but I always, again, start with a broad overview before we dive in a little bit deeper. The benchmarks is here where you can pull in industry data. For our users in the US, the industry data is US based. So for our international users, it can be useful, but know that the industry data is coming from the US. The schedule section, this is where an important part of planning involves forward thinking or thinking ahead about goals, and we call them milestones, or future dates that you want to accomplish certain things in your business. And then finally, the dashboard. This is for growing businesses that are already up and running, where you can start to manage your business to those goals and to those plans. Now, the options, I'm going to actually click into this before we go back to the pitch. The options here are where you can change a number of those settings that we set when we answered those questions at onboarding. Of course, here's the name of the company, Josh's Rain Company. If I wanted to change that to whatever, I can do that there. So now this is Josh's Rain Example Company. Also, you can see over here, it has us selected as January for the year cycle because that was the selection we chose. Of course, we can change that. But for our Pakistani entrepreneurs, I want to highlight the currency option here that you can actually go in here to, instead of dollar, you can change it to either other. I don't remember what the local currency is in Pakistan. So
Rupees.
rupees. Thank you very much. Thank you. So we could select rupees instead of dollars, and that might be the first thing that you choose to do if you're, planning your business there locally in Pakistan. So again, to highlight that, that's here on the left. It's the options tab, and then the currency. We can select rupees. So in fact, for sake of today's training, let's leave it in rupees. Just one that'll be fun for me because I'm usually in dollars, but hopefully that'll be nice for the Pakistani entrepreneurs just to see your currency in the forecast rather than ours. So I'm going to save changes here. And then finally, before we go into the pitch, there is this invite users button. If I click here, this is in reference back to the question earlier about inviting in others throughout or later on. If you go through the onboarding, you don't invite anybody in, but then later you want to invite someone in. It gives you these two options. Add a contributor. This would be for someone who can edit and make changes, and in a sense, it allows them to be a co-author with you in the plan. And then the guest access, it allows for someone to only read the plan, but they can leave comments. So they can't make any changes or any edits, but they can read through and then give you feedback. So those are the two options there. Each of these, similar to before, you'll enter their email. If I click in here, you would put in the person's email, possibly leave a short note saying, I'm inviting you to review my plan or something appropriate. And then these selection options here, it's really up to you as far as if you want to, let's say if it's a business partner that you're inviting in, you might want to give your business partner the ability to invite in other users or to manage the company and to see the financial results. If it's just if it's a mentor or someone that you're just asking to review, you might not need to check these first two boxes. I do always recommend checking this third box because this will allow all of the forecasting features and everything to be available, especially if you use accounting software and things like that. Like with everything we've looked at so far, if you were to send an invitation and not check these boxes, and then later decide you want to check the boxes, you can always go back in and make edits and changes. But the most important thing in sending an invitation is that I check the box next to the company so that when I send that invitation, they'll get that email and then it'll give them a link that they will be able to click and then access my Rain Example Company. So for today, I'm going to exit out of here though, but just to review, if we go back into LivePlan, the way to invite in users is this button down here in the middle on the left, and then you can invite someone in as a contributor or as a guest. All right, without further delay, let's get into the pitch and let's build this out together. So imagine we've watched the video, we've read the information here, and now we're going to click on Get Started. And this is going to take us to this page here where you can see there are subjects that are sort of broken out into boxes, I guess, these squares that represent a holding place for these topics. And we could jump in at any one of these sections, but I tend to like to go up here to edit and just start at the top and work my way through. Now, I'm happy to make up a company on the spot, or if anybody is courageous or wants to share with me, your idea or a type of company that you might be considering, we could work on this together just as an example. Is there
I have
anybody?
one for you.
All right, great. Let's go for it.
So I'm currently the owner of Oregon CPR, and I decided to start a new business with my mom called Freezy Treats, and it's actually a freeze-dried business
Okay.
of candy. So it's called Mimi's Freezy Treats, and I'm
All right.
just in the bare, like just getting started with it.
Wonderful. Okay, well, let's work our way through
Let
building out a
me let
for
me
free.
interrupt. Sorry for a minute. Hi,
Okay.
Katrina. Nice to
Hi.
meet you. I love that idea. But since we are entrepreneurs, how about we give a chance to the students first, since there's so much in their initial phases,
Okay.
and they're joining us from the other side of the world. So,
Okay.
let's try to see if we can hear from one of the students. Come on, guys. I took the fend for you, so
And there's no requirement that that someone, if you volunteer an idea, that you have to be super vocal or outspoken or anything. But what might be a business in Pakistan? I guess that would be an opportunity for me over here in the US to get an idea of the types of businesses that some of you all might be looking to start.
Kulsum, I see that you have raised your hand.
Somebody in the chat said a
Yes.
clothing business.
Yes, we can. So we are now hearing from them. Josh, we have top three: a clothing business, a business related to handmade embroidery products, and nanoparticles business. I think Kulsum raised her hand first, so let's go with that. And it's also very traditional material. So Kulsum, you wanna take the lead? Tell Josh a little bit about your business, maybe unmute yourself.
Yeah, sure. Hi, Josh.
Hello.
I am here with my idea of Sabir. It actually is making a device that produces water from the air. So it basically atmospheric water generators.
Okay. Oh, that's very intriguing. So let's go with this then. Let's click on edit. And then the first thing it's going to ask, and I'm not going to get, let's see. Well, tell me if do you have a name for your company already?
Yes.
We can,
Sabir, Sabeel.
Sabeel. Okay.
Yes.
And then,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, Katrina, for being super understanding and accommodating.
Yeah, absolutely. And here, so I've put in the name of the company. There's the option to upload a logo. I'm actually just going to select the Rain logo for demonstration purposes.
Okay, sure.
But we'll pull in the Rain logo just so you can see that, it's just as easy as, if you've got the logo on your computer, you select it, and then it'll show up when we get to the end. So let's click continue. And in this headline, it's going to ask for a one-sentence description of what the company's about. So, and to be fair, it's a little tough to do on the spot because, sometimes it takes a bit of thinking and you want to get it just right. But I'd say if you want to give it a go, what would be one sentence to describe the business?
I actually have a one-liner for that. It is
Oh, very
making
good.
water anywhere, anytime.
Awesome. Okay, so we throw that in there, and then we move to the next. And so this is where we start to get a little bit more into why this would be a valuable business. So the first thing we're going to identify is the problem that we're solving, and we can either describe that here with it, briefly with 250 characters, or if it's easier, we can choose a short list of problems that end users are experiencing. What would you like to? How would you like to proceed? Do you want to just describe the problem?
Yeah, sure. Water shortage issues and the diseases related to water.
Yeah. Okay, so there's water shortage issues.
Waterborne diseases
Yeah,
also.
I'm gonna switch over to short list. So water
Thanks.
shortage, waterborne diseases, let's
Um,
maybe access to water, you know, for
Yeah.
folks who maybe they can get to it, but it's a distance, or other problems other than those three. And we don't have to be comprehensive, but
Yeah, I guess those are the major three problems.
all right, so now we'll click continue, and now it's going to ask the solution. So, you know, we've identified there's lack of access, there's water shortages, there's disease in water. How are you going to solve those problems?
By providing a device that could make water from the atmosphere around us anywhere and anytime.
Oh boy, now I'm showing. I can't spell on the spot. You're gonna have to forgive me. We will provide
Sorry, no problem.
We'll provide a device. I'm sorry, this is terrible. Will provide water anytime, anywhere.
From the
Thank-
atmosphere around us.
Thank you. The atmosphere around us. There we go. There's my spell checker. Thank you. I could not think straight on the spot. So, so we'll provide a device that will provide water anytime, anywhere from the atmosphere around us. So now it's going to ask us the target market. So, you know, the not everyone has, let's see, another way to say this. Some people already have easy access to water that's clean and plentiful, right? So they may not need this device because they don't experience the problems that we've identified that your device is solving. So we'll have to look and see who is the target market. And some of this you'll want to do some outside research. You can see here in this example, you know, whatever this example is showing, it's, you know, young families, college students, trail enthusiasts for outdoor things. But the way that we would address this is we click on add a market segment, and it's going to say, what do we want to call this segment? And then it'll ask how many prospects, and then what do they spend annually to try to solve this problem. So I'm curious, and you may not have yet, but as you're developing this, have you considered target markets and done any investigating on that section yet?
I have not done any field survey as of yet, but I have looked up in the internet, and mostly when the Reen people came here, Aksa and Caroline, so we did a pitch as well, and they told us about the TAM SAM song. So we just had a rough idea that I'd be targeting TAM as the Pakistani people. And then for my SAM, I'll be targeting my two major cities, the province, Punjab. And then for SOM, I'll be targeting two cities at first. And then there would be the middle class people who are more affected by this problem, who have to go for a water supplier service every other day.
Okay, awesome, wonderful. So I think for this demonstration, I'm watching the clock and I'm realizing if I need to speed up a little bit. So exactly what you said is a great example to the rest of the group as far as how to think about the large market and more specific markets, you know, with the TAM and the SAM. For this, I'm just going to, forgive me, I'm going to make up a few numbers here just to show the tool. But let's say, we'll say town 1, just to be more generic, and maybe there's, I don't know, 15,000, I don't know, maybe 100,000 people, right? And then, let's just make up some numbers, I guess. So let's say they're spending 200 rupees, well, annually, maybe, I don't even, 2,000
You could
rupees.
go for a higher value. 200 is very less here.
Okay, so let's say they're
5
spending
zeros. 2 and 5 zeros. 2 lakhs.
Okay, there we go. All right, so town 1, there's X number of people, they're spending Y number of rupees, And then we can add another one and say town 2. And let's say it's, this number of people with this number of rupees. So as we build that out, and obviously I'm kind of cheating a little bit, but it's as easy as taking the information from your research, clicking on market segment, and then plugging that in. In fact, let's just do this for another example. We'll make this a bigger one. And then LivePlan will create a visual as well as break out the percentages of the different target markets. So thank you for working with me on this as we go. I'm going to speed up just a little bit. So as we continue, now it's going to ask about competition. So are there other organizations like yours that are offering similar tools or similar solutions? What would be the alternative? How are people solving this problem currently without your business and without your solution?
The major, as for the device, there are suppliers for the device as well. The online retail markets such as Alibaba and other stores, they're selling it, imported brands. And then there's a company, Pakistani based company, which is providing this device by themselves. And for other water services, people are using tank services and other services for water also. But I guess the major target would be those companies at hand.
Okay.
And
so
the difference is of the technology.
Okay. And this is great that this is coming out. So let's just quickly put in, online providers and, better tech, right? So let's say, okay, so we'll say online providers, better tech, local providers, and then, maybe, better tech is redundant, but
then the price, lower price.
Yeah. Okay. And then we could say, we'll say example 3 just for, and then X, Y, and Z. So as we're building this out, and this is it's really helpful, and I'm so glad that you volunteered, because you've been doing some of this research and you've got a product and you've got a lot of the answers for entrepreneurs who haven't done as much research yet as you have, and they're still on that earlier idea stage. One of the things I like to encourage, and it's important as you're getting into LivePlan, is to put your best guess into the software, and even if it's a placeholder. So here I put in example 3. That's really a placeholder. It helps me to realize I need to do some more research and get a little bit more information. So as you're going through the tool, at whatever stage, put in your best guess, your most informed guess as of today. And then as you learn more, come back and make edits and changes. So far we've gone through the company, the headline, the problem, solution, target market, and competitive landscape. And those are the most important things. Let's pause for a minute. I'm going to click I'm done just to show you what we're building here together. So right now we've got the headline, or the making water anywhere, anytime. We've got, of course, the rain logo that we put in there. You'd want to put in your own business logo. And then we're starting to see things come together: the problem, the solution, who's our target market, and our competitors. And this may be probably the first step, is to get these sections in place. And then what you'll do is continue to work a little bit further through the system to consider, do I have funding needs? Will I be starting this business without needing any outside funds? Or am I going to need to obtain some outside funds in some way, through a grant or through a loan or through an investment? Essentially, can I start the business without funds, or do I need funds? Here's where we can put in, like I said moments ago, our best guess. And I don't know if you want to share about your business. As we get into the financials, you can feel free to decline. But do you want to share if if you know if you'll need funds or not, or should we just make something up here?
Yeah, sure. I do need funds, and I guess you could go for 500K.
Okay. And then what we would put, so first you put in the amount, and which we've done, and then you would put in, how will you use these funds? And so as you think about the 500K, what do you think that those funds would go toward?
Initially, they would go for making more of such devices,
Mm-hmm.
like making for the first batch, and then the selling of those batch.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then, so we've got the number, then how we'll use it. And the reason that this, of course, is important is that as you're building out your pitch, it's not only going to be a document, but it's going to be a process of practicing communicating about your business, the problem, the solution, the funding needed, so that when you go to a lender or an investor, you're going to be able to speak to how you'll use these funds, why you need them, why your solution is going to be different than the competition. So all of these elements are very purposeful to make sure that you as the entrepreneur are thinking through all of the types of questions that you might get from a lender or an investor. It's now going to ask us about sales channels. So let's say you've got the funds, you've got the devices. How are you going to get these products sold?
Firstly, I'll be selling them online as well, and then using local retailers as well.
Okay. Okay. And then how are you going to get the word out? So in terms of marketing, how are people going to know that you're selling them online or that they're available through local retailers?
That would be the social media websites, then a web page for that. Then I'd be giving out advertisements and also a word of mouth.
Mm-hmm. Great. And then this is where it starts to get, in my opinion, really exciting. And I say that understanding that many entrepreneurs, the numbers may be exciting, but I think many, it may be scary or intimidating or confusing. What I love about our approach in LivePlan is that you can see here, we've got some example charts with the revenue, the expenses, and the profit. But what I love is we can actually start with a description or short list before ever getting in and starting to run the numbers. So if we look at this from a short list or description, the first thing it's going to ask for this business is revenue streams, which is essentially, what is going to bring money into the company. So certainly selling the devices would be, it would seem would be the primary way to bring in the revenue. So, I'm going to put that in here. What other ways are there? Will there be any services or other products or education or other offerings, or will it primarily be selling the devices will bring revenue into the company?
Yeah, for the first stage, I guess that would only be selling the device.
Okay. And it sounds like you've got some ideas for growth.
Yeah, I sure do have.
Wonderful. Well, let's leave that simple for now. So we'll just say money's coming in every time we sell the devices. And then major costs, certainly there would be the manufacturing costs of the devices, right? What other costs do you anticipate? In fact, let's do this. Let's switch over to short list. Other costs that your business might incur on either a startup, to get going, or on a regular basis.
That would be for like planting the devices in the actual locations.
Okay.
So that would be the transportation cost, I guess.
Okay. I see. So transportation of devices to install them,
Yeah.
something like that. Oh, it looks like I'm out of characters, so I'll just say to install. Any
Yeah.
other costs?
Advertisements.
Yeah. Okay. Others?
Mm, for now, let's go with these three, I guess.
Okay, great. I will encourage you to put in a fourth, which would be paying yourself, or at least
Oh.
paying someone, so let's say staff or personnel. That's actually one thing that that a lot of times entrepreneurs overlook, as you're thinking about the product and the service and building the business, is that someone needs to get paid for their time. Oftentimes it's going to be people that you hire to work for you, but you need to certainly pay for the time that you're spending on the business. Your time is valuable as well. Let's see, and personnel doesn't look right. So let's, I don't know why I'm not, there we go. I've become so reliant on spell check. I don't know if that's something that other people experience, but if we click in now to milestones, this will be key dates in the future for accomplishment. So if we add a milestone, for example, when would you hope to sell your first device? That might be a big milestone for the business.
In the next 2 to 3 months, I guess.
Okay, great. So let's say by April, end of April, right?
Yeah.
And then say the business owner, and then the goal is to sell the first of many devices. And then you can even receive an email reminder a few days before. If you'd like, we can click that. And then if we add another one, what other things, as you're thinking about, other than selling a device, that come to mind as some upcoming goals for your business?
Then we'll move on to the refrigeration process, and we can be using that as a side business as well. Water production plus refrigeration.
Okay, so water production, refrigeration. Oops. Hang on. Oh boy. I'm just going to say water production. All right. So we'll go owner and then, example details here. All right. And then we've just got 2 more sections. So one of which is to add who's on the team and any key roles. And this is actually a great place. So let's see. Remind me your name.
It's Kalsum, Kalssoom.
Okay, so Kalsum, and then would you describe yourself? How would you describe your role within the company?
I'll be the technical operator.
Okay. All right, and then we'll, fill this in later. So placeholder there. You can upload an image of yourself, and then we'll save and close. And then are there other team members, or is it just you at this point?
Yeah, I do have team members.
Okay, how about let's enter in one more for today.
Okay, it'd be Iram.
And how do you spell that?
IRUM.
Okay, and what's Iram's role?
Yeah, she'll be overlooking the marketing sector.
Okay, so marketing, fill this in later, and same thing with the image. And the nice thing too about this, so there's Iram, sounds like there's some others. If there are future positions that you haven't hired yet, or that you're still looking for a person with a certain skill set, you can actually add in those roles as a future hire. For example, you could say future hire, sales or something like that, and go through the same process, just so that it reminds you and then anyone else who's going to be looking at this pitch page that there aren't any blind spots, that you're not overlooking some key personnel that you would need for the business. And then finally, this section for partners and resources. this would be like relationships with facilities like manufacturers or other key not staff that you're going to have on staff, but other key businesses that you're going to partner with. I'm curious if any of those might come to mind, or if that makes sense what we're talking about.
Yeah, I've also thought about partnering with other businesses like the bottle companies, for instance, Nestle.
Okay, and how do you spell Nestle?
Nestle.
Oh, Nestle. Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we'll just say fill this in later. I'm starting to use shortcuts, and then we can add an image.
So what was this description for?
So this is for partners and resources, and I always I'll just read it so that I describe it the right way. It says, use this section to identify any relationships, equipment, facilities, patents, or other resources that are strategically important to your business model. You can use this section to cover almost anything of note that is not addressed in the rest of the pitch. If you don't need it at all, then just click the checkbox to hide it. So like you're saying, Nestle is a company that you might have a strategic partnership with that would help you with, executing your business.
Another example I would give is like the Islamabad Women's Chamber. That might be a partner resource for you as well.
What was that, Aksa? What administration?
The Islamabad Women's Chamber.
I don't know how to spell Islamabad.
Islamabad.
Thank you. You said administration?
No, Women's Chamber.
A Women's Chamber. Great. That's a great example. And so we've made it through just one at a time. Obviously, there's some things that I've said fill in later, or this is just a placeholder. Now, if we click I'm done, now we have a first version or a first draft of a pitch page that someone from the outside, let's say someone who's never heard of your business before, you could share this with them, and at a glance, they're going to start to get an idea of a few things. If you share it with a mentor, they're going to come at it from a supportive and also critiquing perspective, where they might say, I think you need to work a little bit more on this section or that section. So we could say, making water anywhere, anytime. And then we scroll through, we've got the problem, solution, target market, competitors.
So
here's
Josh, let me stop you for a moment. Can we go on competitors? Kiran has a question in the chat. She doesn't have any competitors in Pakistan, but are there any competitors at the international level? Should I need to search for them, or just skip this competitors details as I don't have any in my country? And then building up on that, Momna asked another question. What about clothing brands? There are hundreds of competitors in Pakistan. So I'm gonna take a shot at answering these questions, and then feel free to add more things to it. I think if you don't have any competition at the local level, you can always use international case studies and examples, especially as you're projecting the scalability of your business. And as for having too much competition, I think having similar case studies that are very closely aligned to the work that you do, and looking at their growth and progress, that might be something good to monitor as well. Anything you want to add to this, Josh?
Yes, certainly. One of the ways to think through the competitive landscape, if what you're offering, let's say, is so unique that at first thought, no one else is offering this, what you've got to then do is think back to the problem that you're solving, and ask yourself, how are people currently solving this problem that I've identified? It may be that your solution, there's no other solution like that, but people are very creative. Human beings are very creative about trying to solve pain, right? If there's a pain point, I don't like it, and so I want that to go away. For example, I used to have a cookie. I made cookies as a company that we sold in the grocery stores. And let's say no one else, let's imagine a world where no one had ever made cookies before and I invented cookies, right? You might say, well, there's no competitors because no one else has ever invented cookies. But people have eaten snacks for all through time, right? And so you've got to ask yourself, if they're not buying my solution or paying for my solution or using my solution, how are they solving their problem? What are they spending their time and their money on that isn't my solution? So that's a way to try to think creatively. So I might say, if someone is not eating my cookies, maybe they're buying a cake or of something, it's different, but they're getting a dessert some other way. Hopefully that example makes some sense. So
Thank you, Josh, for that. I know that we're pretty much on time, so I'll let you finish this example, and I'll just request all the folks who have joined us if they can hang on for maybe a few more minutes so I can share the logins with you and we can talk a little bit about the next step. So unless you really have to rush out, please feel free to give us a few more minutes. Back to you, Josh.
very good. Thanks, Aksa. So the last thing that I would say as we look at the summary that we've built together with Kalsum, and again, thank you, Kalsum, for being brave and interacting with us in today's training. This is just a first draft. And so what you would want to do after you've got this is share it. Share it with mentors, instructors, friends, family. And the way that you can do that is you can download the pitch out of LivePlan. If you click this little printer button, you can download it as a PDF and then share it, print it, email it. You can also, if you go over here to the present button, you can export it as a slide deck if you're going to share a presentation. Sometimes that's one, it's even a great way to practice talking about your business, is gather some friends or gather some other entrepreneurs, gather whoever you can and start practicing presenting about your business. And then you can also publish it as a web link that can be sent through social or text or email. And that way someone can take a look at your pitch page as well. So this is just the beginning of getting your ideas out of your head, out of your thoughts into the software so that other people can read it, start interacting with you and helping you improve it step by step.
Thank you, Josh. And I think that's a really important point that you made at the end. Having a PDF copy, maybe doing some printouts and making some reviews on it might give you a different perspective. And especially when you're making pitches to future investors, to other partners, to go explore your business idea for more opportunities, it's always great to create the pitch deck on LivePlan, especially if you're getting either the free code for it or you've already registered for it.
Yeah.
So with that, I put in the chat the link for the Google Sheet with the LivePlan links. Please make sure that everyone is getting access to it. Josh, do you mind if I go ahead and share my screen?
Certainly, yeah. All right, did that work? Okay, great.
So this is how it should look on your screen. Please put it in the chat if that's how it's looking. What I want you to do is I want you to put in your first name, last name, your business name, your email, and your phone number, and then click on the link so that we know that each, the ones that you are taking is no longer available for consumption. So that we don't have any confusion regarding this. It is pretty much first come, first serve basis. So if you're able to grab it, I see the sheet being populated. So that's really great. So if you're able to take it, please make sure that you go ahead with it. Please make sure to update the sheet first so that there's no confusion later on that somebody else wants to claim that link. one announcement, Visa, for you is that you have already claimed one of the logins that Caroline had shared with you. So if you want to update that one, let's make sure that there's no confusion around that. So while you guys are working on that, I would stop sharing my screen and just take a minute to thank Josh for walking us through the whole workshop and being super, super helpful and being available so super early in the morning as well. So thank you, Josh. We really appreciate you. Maybe we can do a little round of applause for him.
Thank you.
And do we have any pressing questions? Other than that, the software does provide its inbuilt support service as well that Josh can tell you more about. And if you do have more questions, you can reach out to me. And who can we reach out to at the team, Josh?
Yeah, great. And so I brought my screen back up just to show you where support's available. Once you're in LivePlan, over here on the right, this little question mark that's in the circle, when you click that, it will expand. And then you can see here, email support. If you click on that, it'll bring up a box where you can email our support team a problem, question, suggestion, praise, and then they will respond back to you within 1 business day by email. You can also, reach us at help@paloalto.com. Let's see, let me get that. In fact, I'll put that in the chats. That's our email for our support team. So I'll send that into chats. And then also you've got this chat support. Now this is 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that would be, our daytime, your nighttime. But if you are working on LivePlan or in LivePlan during those hours, you can live chat with someone from LivePlan. So basically you have chat, you have email, and then the final thing I'll mention is this help center is actually a website that we've developed with hundreds of frequently asked questions that we've then turned into articles with screenshots. So you can see here, I've clicked into one, and there's even videos and descriptions with, lots of images and things, just to make sure that, you've got chat, email, and then the help articles to make sure that it's all clear and you can make progress. So
thank you again, Josh. And another announcement is that it is only, right now, it is being only offered for our Pakistani women entrepreneurs. So it is not available to our Lean County entrepreneurs, unfortunately, due to our funding restrictions. So we would love to offer it to everyone for free, but maybe we can get some future scholarships in the future. And also, as for the Pakistani women entrepreneurs, it is only one code, one plan per business. So if you have a partner, you can share the login information with them, but do not claim more than one code plan for your business. And I will make sure to send a link for this as well in the in a follow-up email as well. Yes, if you are based in Lane County, it does not apply to you. So I'm so sorry about that. Or even US, it's only for Pakistani women entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I do have for the US folks that are connected to RAIN, there is a discount code that I'll put into the chats. So if you do want to get into LivePlan, you don't have to go to our retail site. You can get signed up for that with the discount code.
Thank you so much for promoting that partnership, Josh. So before everyone logs off, can we take a minute to take a screenshot with everyone's beautiful faces we would love to promote this image on our social media and also with our embassy partners. A big thanks to the US State Department for funding this project, and also to the US Embassy in Islamabad, Pakistan for keeping our work funded. And a big shout out to our Lane County funders for giving us the opportunity to connect with our entrepreneurs and making this cross cultural connection. I think this is super, super exciting. Please feel free to drop in your LinkedIn, your email, how you would like to stay engaged with folks, especially if you're on the opposite sides of the world. I think this is a very exciting project, and I'm so happy that both my worlds are coming together. So everyone ready? I'm going to take a screenshot. Do a smile. Okay, one more. Give me a second, because I can only get a few people on my screen. Okay, and one more. Great. Thank you so much, guys, for taking the time to attend this workshop and also being available and taking the chance to interact with us. I am going to be hanging out for a few more minutes. If you have any questions, concerns that you would like to run through me or through Josh, but otherwise feel free to have the rest of your day back. We really appreciate you being here.
Ma'am, can I fill the spreadsheet on the behalf of my team member?
So I think if you've already claimed the LivePlan under your name, that should be clear, and you don't need to take out a part for your partner.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions? Okay, I think that's about it. Thank you so much for being here. I've stopped the recording.